So we'll talk about building connections on LinkedIn, making connections. So one of the fastest ways to get off the ground or to expand your existing network is to go out and invite people that are already in your network that aren't on LinkedIn yet. So if any of you have a website, if any of you have a database of any kind, whether it's on Outlook or whether it's in Excel or wherever it happens to be, why don't you start with what you already have and upload, import those contacts into LinkedIn, and then from there, LinkedIn will push it out. But it's going to tell you right away that out of the 1,000 people you put in there, 800 of them are already on LinkedIn. It'll tell you that. So you'll know that 200 aren't. But when you're inviting those 200 that aren't, LinkedIn gives those folks an opportunity to join LinkedIn, right? So that's one quick way to build your connections list, is to start with the database that you already have. Another thing you may want to do is think about now, as part of your overall online marketing strategy, making the investment in an email marketing program such as Aweber, Constant Contact, MailChimp, any one of those. Get that in place, and then your first campaign could be sending out an email invitation to everybody in your existing database to join you on LinkedIn. And by doing so, you send that out. It's just another touch point with your database, right? And they click on yes, and then you make your contact that way. Yes?
Pete, let me ask you a question about being rejected. How do you get rejected? I don't want to be in a position where I end up being suspended. What would prompt a rejection, or how would somebody reject your...
On LinkedIn, the primary way to get rejected is if you reach out to somebody that you don't know and they don't know you, and they initiate the I don't know that person on their side. You get 3 of those, and that's an issue with LinkedIn. So a strategy, if you're going to play that, if you're going to try to reach out to people that you don't really know, if you happen to have that person's email address, LinkedIn will ask you for that person's address. So let's say it's a friend, and you know they're on LinkedIn, and you want to reach out to them, and you can just put that email in. So that's kind of like a free pass. That gets you past that. Yes?
The other thing is I try and see how many contacts. I mean, LinkedIn will recommend, you have people with contacts and, in connections in common.
Yeah.
So I'll oftentimes ask the people that I know for an introduction to
Yes.
that person.
Right.
And they even tell you on LinkedIn, don't connect with people that you're not friends with.
Right.
Kind of like this, screw yourself over if you do.
Right.
They give you a warning about that.
They do. They do. I mean, they want you to win on this too, and most people don't abuse LinkedIn that way, but that's a way to do it as well. So let's say that you're getting that third-party introduction. You want to connect with somebody on LinkedIn. You have a shared connection, just like you mentioned. LinkedIn will notify you of who that shared connection is. So you reach out to that shared connection and say, I'd really like to connect with John Doe. Would you please introduce me? Most people are going to say yes to that. So what happens to John Doe is he gets this invitation to connect with you with a recommendation from Sally John to connect. And another way of doing that manually, if you don't want to do that, is let's say you just happen to know somebody that John Doe knows, and that person isn't even on LinkedIn. So when you're reaching out to that person, you can customize your message and say, John Smith recommended that we connect on LinkedIn because of XYZ. I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn. So these little subtleties increase your odds of getting that connection to go through. Yeah?
What I've done also is, looking at people in like industries and writing in the comments who I am and what I do and where I cover. So
yeah.
it's not like they might not know you personally, but they know you're in the same industry and where you're working and what
Right.
you're doing.
That's one of the reasons that after I go to a mixer or networking meeting, I get online right away. While that person is still fresh in their mind. By the way, it's great connecting with you tonight at the Chamber Mixer. I'd love to talk to you further about your business and how we can work together. Let's connect on LinkedIn. So that increases your odds of that person going, oh yeah, I remember that person. I was talking with them an hour ago. Let's connect. Yes?
I was going to say, I think to your point, a great way to look at it is like LinkedIn is not a great way to cold call. Don't think of it as a way to cold call.
Mm-hmm.
The coldest you're going to get is warm, where you have a shared contact.
Right.
I've gone that way many times. With many people who contact me on LinkedIn, they say, I saw your profile, and it looked like we're in the same industry. I'm like, that's nice. I don't know you.
Right, and so we're going to get into some advanced connecting strategies that go beyond the obvious of doing a one-by-one connection with people that you don't really know that well, cold calling. And that vehicle that you use on LinkedIn are LinkedIn groups. How many of you belong to a group on LinkedIn? Okay, so one of the advantages of a LinkedIn group is, let's say you're reaching out to that person, it's a fairly cold connection. There's options in that invitation for you to select. And if you hit the group button, it's going to show you the shared groups that you have in common with that person you're reaching out to. So that increases your odds that they belong to network marketing too. I'm in that. Yeah, I want to connect with like-minded people. Sure, I'll connect with you. So there's a way to warm up your connections by the virtue of you being a member of all these groups of people that are in the same industry or sphere of business. You can import your Outlook contacts right out of your desktop. With a couple of clicks of the mouse, you can increase your database. So like I said earlier, out of 910, 581 are already, that's the message it's going to give you once you attempt to upload an external database and import it into LinkedIn.
Can you do that with Gmail also?
I believe that you can. I think so.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Every time I go to do this, I then stop because in each of my contacts, I often have like personal notes about, sometimes it could be passwords, it could be about their family. What exactly do they pull?
Well, you're probably best to have that go into some type of an Excel spreadsheet as an interim, so you can cull it down to only what you want to. Yeah, right. Email address, names, number, that kind of thing. So we talked about seeking people that you already know on LinkedIn. So as an example, if you have Hotmail, Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, anybody else that you know that has the same type of email account, there's a way of reaching out to them through LinkedIn that have those common email addresses, and that's a way to connect with them. So that's another quick strategy to build your database. You can look for colleagues that you have on LinkedIn. So colleagues would be people that are in the same industry or even company that might share the same custom email domain name, like Contra Costa Living is my domain name, .com. So everybody that had that same domain name, I could reach out to them as a colleague.